just so you know who Mel is, and then we can jump into learning more about these topics. But Mel Lim, she is the CEO of Maspira Group, an innovation consultancy focusing on product development, growth strategies, brand experience, B2B, AI, VR, SaaS, IoT, cybersecurity, luxury retail, hospitality, robotics, neuroscience. She completed a book titled Turtle Design in a Rabbit Age, published by CRC Press. Her book offers a platform to help people achieve equanimity and find meaning in their work and lives through mindfulness, and companies to craft value by reframing their approach to impact creation. She lectures on innovation, consumer behaviors, and women in leadership at leading institutions, some you may have heard of, like Stanford. She served on advisory boards at the New School in NYC and the World Brand Congress, UFLEX. Maison Marcel is currently an advisory board member of the Engineering Leadership Program at Cal State University. She was recently awarded Top 50 Tech Visionaries by Intercon, congratulations, and named among the 250 most inspiring female entrepreneurs, which is incredible. So Mel, welcome. Before we start, real quick, sorry, Mel, just unmute your StreamYard so everyone there can hear you. But you are good. Sorry, back to you.
There you go. Now people can hear
Yep,
you.
unmute
Yes.
the StreamYard. Just turn the volume of your computer down, and you are good. I can't hear her on StreamYard.
Mel, I'm so sorry. They can't hear you on live. People were messaging us. So, Dan, can we just have they're very excited to hear about what you have to say. So, Dan, can you do a little bit of technical stuff there? We want to make sure.
We can hear you. Clubhouse works
Clubhouse.
good, but StreamYard, it must be where the microphone is. So you're unmuted on StreamYard, but it might be where your microphone is attached to on StreamYard. But while we're figuring that out, we got Mel Lim. So every Friday, while Mel is trying to figure that out, every Friday we do these meta talks now. We're talking about and all things in the metaverse. This week we're focusing on AR and VR. We just got our Oculus, so we're trying to figure out what the heck do we even do with that? What does that even mean? Yesterday I was speaking to somebody about putting banks in the metaverse and actually taking money out, and I'm like, what the heck? This is crazy. So I'm glad that Mel's here. You want to try it, Mel? Unmute your StreamYard now, and let's try it again. Let's see what happens. Clubhouse is good. Yeah.
Yes. Your microphone here. There you go.
Okay. Can you? But I am echoing. Okay.
There
Is
you
it good
go.
now? Okay. Yes.
Dan, can you hear?
Yes, David. We will not reveal anything that's private. But okay, this is my client. Okay, so I'm very excited to see David Gibson on here because we've been working on some amazing stuff. But on the other end of the metaverse creation, I'm focused mostly on content creation and experience design to use the technology and really leverage that tech to tell a brand story or create an amazing brand experience. And for us here in the studio, it is a very exciting time. But at the same time, we have to learn so much because the tech is moving at such a rapid speed. So for any kind of enterprise to adopt a tech, they have to move equally as fast, right? David, don't you think? Are you agreeing with this? Yes. And then we're constantly trying to figure out which is the right platform for us to use. How can we scale this on a for a global team,
Yeah.
and also like how to get people familiarized with the difference between experiencing a metaverse on a desktop and mobile versus on a VR device like an Oculus. And I know Kate, Dan, you guys bought an Oculus last week. Tell us how it's been for you to experience a metaverse inside those devices, and are you experiencing it differently from the desktop?
You know what? It's fascinating experience.
I can't
It's
hear Kate.
you can hear me out. It's fascinating experience because it really is. You're in a different world, and as
Mhm.
I was setting up, um, it's crazy. You're in a space of somewhere that's it's way beautiful than in real world. It's fascinating. Is that a true statement? Then that people would say it's so advanced and scary advanced that's overwhelmingly beautiful. It's like you're really in a space.
Yeah, and for us, it's like you know, of course, all these platforms are coming out, and most of the time you're experiencing from the desktop sense, right? You're going in, you're logging through your browser, or you're viewing it from your iPhone or your iPad. But as soon as you put on the Oculus, it's like, oh my God, I am walking around and I'm experiencing the person. It's as though that he's next to me, all or like sitting across from me. And especially for platforms with spatial audio built in, the further you move away, it's as though that you are in the space. And for me as a designer, I go in, I go, wow, this is an opportunity for us to really create and curate the brand experience. Like, how do we want people to experience the messaging or the story or the content? And then to experience things three dimensionally. Again, it's another whole other level, right? I mean, it's not like looking at things in a PowerPoint two dimensional sense anymore. It's looking at things like literally 3D, like as though that you're like Tom Cruise in Minority Report. That's the best way to explain this, right? Or what's the other movie, like Tony Stark and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like really, you're able to look at things in three-dimensional sense and explore and explain processes and tech in a very different way. So that part is so exciting, Kate.
Yes, so fascinating. But Mel, what are some of the advice would you give for entrepreneurs that's, making sure that they're not going to be behind as far as you mentioned about storytelling in a branding perspective? What
Mhm.
advice would you give for entrepreneurs that, they're going to be on top of their game?
I would say like go ahead and just start navigating. So I got really excited about this when my 10-year-old, my 7 and 10-year-old got me to view some amazing Gucci, garden experience on Roblox, right? And I'm like, they came out of the room and mama, we want the Gucci shades. I'm like, what? How? You're 7 years old. How the hell do you know about Gucci, right? And then for me to kind of go into the space with them, play with them, I'm like, wow, this is amazing because brands like Gucci are investing so much resources into this. That this is going to be, and that was like what, 12 months ago, 12, 15 months ago when the Gucci garden came out. And then as of yesterday or 2 days ago, we heard Nike now is on Roblox, which I logged on this morning to try to play with it. And so for us smaller entrepreneurs and businesses, I think it's just getting yourself familiarized with what is out there. And for me, I'm a fashion. I love fashion, so I'm always following fashion brands and luxury brands and really trying to understand what they're doing. And then of course coupled with the whole NFT side and trying to purchase some of the luxury NFT goods. But it's developing that interest and not being afraid and just jumping onto all these different types of metaverses, Decentraland, Somnium Space, Crypto Voxel, Roblox. Um, that part is very exciting for me to learn how brands are actually utilizing these spaces to create and connect to their audience. And the Gucci example is a great one. You don't expect a 7-year-old to be purchasing anything Gucci, but they are tapping into that mindset at a very young age, right? So now my son is like, we want Gucci shades, even though it's a fake, digital Gucci shade, but they're going for that.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had a conversation with my 18-year-old, and he mentioned some brands that's in Roblox. So I definitely told Dan, I think it's time for us to invest on Roblox stocks. With then it went up.
I think so.
No.
No?
Oh, okay. No, no, okay. But anyway, I'm kind of give you guys a little bit of history about Metaverse. So Metaverse first appeared in a novel Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. It's in 1992. So that's a little bit of history right there. I know it's fascinating when Facebook changed their company name Meta. Everyone's freaking out like I don't like it, but
Mm-hmm.
realizing this has been ongoing since
Yes.
forever, like 10
Yeah.
years ago, Mel. Have you been
Yeah.
seeing technology or more than that?
Yeah, a few years ago, we were trying to integrate VR, AR, XR into our storytelling, for our clients, and the tech wasn't even quite there yet. I mean, on the gaming side, sure, with Unity or Unreal Engine, I mean, you can build something on the other side for gaming purposes, but brands really didn't utilize it the way that we are utilizing it today. So in some ways, I'm thinking that it's going to be ubiquitous. It's like, how like years ago when you tell people, you have to have a website design if you're a business owner, and people are like, no, we don't really need it. I mean, this is aging me. That I know I'm a little older, but so I went through that process, right, as a designer, and then now I tell my clients the same thing. You have to look at the metaverse. It's an extension of your brand experience now. People can come to your website still, but do you have a space where they can actually collaborate, be engaged, shop, talk about your brand, and create a community in a very immersive space? So that's the question. How do you extend that piece of your brand connection to your customers or your clients or even your investors or your partners? How do you create that? And for each segment, the experience is very different. And maybe it's part of your marketing campaign is you do send out an Oculus to get people excited to come to your metaverse. And then what is that experience going to be?
Wow, you know what? If you think about it, a lot of e-commerce store, if you don't have a really good sales funnel, they struggle into converting sales. But with
Mm-hmm.
a metaverse, you can actually have an actual person guiding you that process. And wow, I haven't thought of that, Dan, but a lot of people are really struggling that again, that closing the sale, everyone's the abandonment of the cart. If you think about it, if you have a person that guide that shopper, then your
Mm-hmm.
sales gonna be conversion rate will go up. It's a very immersive space, like you said. We were able to experience a little bit of a tour last Friday. And so we were walking in art gallery. I know the technology is a little bit wonky because it's still in an infancy stage, but the future of shopping store in the metaverse will be way better experience than buying on the
Mm-hmm.
website.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably a conversation open to the floor because my knowledge in terms of the digital currency involved and the NFTs and the blockchain piece is I'm still exploring that. I mean, I have gotten 6 pieces of my kids' art, minted, went through the whole process, found a platform to actually, create that NFT, and then deciding which platform, which currency I want to accept, and of course on the other side, I'm investing in all sorts of coins and stuff. But again, that piece is I'm opening up to the floor because my experience is limited to my investment side and also my experience with getting NFTs launched for the conversion to happen, for the transaction to happen, and which currency to take, and then what wallet to create. So I went through the whole process myself, but then just imagining on the enterprise side, you know, again, how are we really capturing, like you said, the conversion, right? Like, okay, do we engage it? Do we have a bot engage it, or do we have a real person? Like, who's the avatar? Can we program the bots to say all these things? Do we have AI built in? Is the avatar going to look like a cartoon like avatar, or is it going to be like a real person avatar? All those things are so crucial now to designers to create that experience, right? And for me, I've heard a lot from my enterprise side. um, People are going, we don't want it to be too cartoony because then we fear that it's not legit. We want our avatars to somehow look a little bit more like us. So is it going to be a scan? Is it going to be, a good high quality scan where the platforms, there are really great platforms out there that can scan your image and produce a beautiful avatar for you. But then there's an AI piece to this, right? Like you can create your own avatar, but then you can program your avatar to talk like you, to sound like you, to move like you. Very interesting tech out there. And then the other side to it is also, how do you present yourself? Do you stream yourself live into this virtual space? Do you go for LiDAR scanning? Do you scan your body and do a hologram? Oh my God, a lot of possibilities. And we're just at the surface. That's the most exciting part. We're just at the tip.
Yeah. Well, the fact that we're talking right now from different places, so technically we're in a metaverse. We're in a metaverse. Is that correct? I
Well,
think that's the safe
somewhat.
thing.
It's like a 2D.
Somewhat.
This is a 2D experience still. A
Mhm.
metaverse will be, next time we can host it, I can host it in my 3D space, and you'll be sitting on a couch over there. I'll be standing over there. Dan will be out there drinking wine or something, but it will be in an immersive space. And as you move further away, and then you don't hear each other as well. You can have private conversations. Some of these platforms allow you to have like different pods of conversation happening, so it's not really open to all. Some platforms allow for anyone to come in. And then, so on an enterprise level, you go like, how secure is my conversation? What can and can we not talk about in a metaverse? Is the metaverse being made public? Is it a secure metaverse? Do we invite only? So all those questions are coming at me all the time, and we have to be cognizant on which platform we go with and how do we build this metaverse out.
Yeah, because I could imagine we had this discussion 2 weeks ago that
Mm.
if you're hosting a conference and if
Mm-hmm.
the security is not there, then someone could just write down while you're doing a presentation. Then it's like
Yeah.
Clubhouse, right? Like someone's gonna be like making some noise and disrupting what you're doing.
Yes, yes. And then, so all these different platforms out there, and they all have different functions and features. And what we do is go in and really understand, what is the business use case here? What is it that you're trying to create? And who are you engaging? And then, so that we can make the most unbiased recommendations for our enterprise client, and go, this is the right platform, but it's going to cost you this much, and they're going to take this much to roll it out. But here's what you're going to get, right? You're going to get privacy, security, you're going to get scalability. They're going to help with this. But some platforms don't do that, and some clients just say, we just want it to be public, we want anybody to come in. But again, all these platforms are very limited in some ways, especially for enterprise solution, because they're limited to like the amount of people that can go into the space. I think the most right now is like 70 people, and then some companies are scaling up to 2,000 people, and then they have to, it's all instancing issues. But this is all the technicality side. I don't want to bore anybody with this, but it is something that you have to think about when you're evaluating building out a metaverse for your company. Where do I want to do this? Who's going to build this? We now call ourselves metaverse architects, right? Architects, people like I'm an architect, by training years and years ago. So it's easy for me to go in and build a space out. But training talents, and I know Kate and you and I talked about this, right? It's like it's a brand new thing. Well, to me, it's not so brand new, but it's like finding talents that are able to create spaces that are phenomenal. I mean, you're in a virtual space. It doesn't have to look like a conference room anymore. You can be on the moon. You can be on Jupiter, and you can have a Jupiter with pool, or waterfall, whatever. It's really for you to imagine what your experience should be. So that's the exciting part. As a designer, I go in like, oh my God, I can make someone fly in with this, write this, and it's like a game design, but for business. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the entrepreneurship side of things, when you're trying to build a conference like a metaverse conference, if your company is like building those big machine, you can't bring and show those machine, right? But in metaverse, you can put all display. I mean, that's very useful. You
Yeah.
don't have to send out, do all the logistics. Everything is going to be in there, and it
Mhm.
looks cool. So the future of this conferences with, for example, private plane, they're going to showcase a private plane. Not everyone can fly out with COVID and restrictions,
Yeah.
so it's the
Yeah.
best way to go. But like, Mel, question for you: what are some of the platforms that big enterprise are hosting all these offices?
So we have explored a variety of platforms, ranging from spatials, my favorite. I built out two or three of them on spatial, and then there's Arthur, and there's Engage VR, and Mood Up. Was also my client, and so there's a slew of them. Glue. Um, there's a slew of them, and for us it's pretty much identifying which platform will fit the business use case, and then we go for, and budget, definitely budget, and scalability, um, and then we go from there. So it depends on what you want to do. I know, Kate, you were looking at a variety of platforms, right, last week for your own metaverse.
Yeah. I'm trying to build an office to have a cool experience because we're launching a
Mm-hmm.
book, so I want to
Mm-hmm.
launch it. Like it looks
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
If we have an office for the top 100 most influential entrepreneurs in the world, we all launching a book in Metaverse. I think that's really an experience.
Yes, yes, but again, for your, like, let's take yours as a business use case, right? So for you, then we would ask, like, how many people do you want to come and experience this? Are they going to be experiencing on the desktop side or on the VR devices? And ensuring that the experience is going to be amazing on across platforms, and ensuring that during your speech or your presentation that it's not going to crash, right? Depending on what you're uploading into your metaverse. So you have to make sure that all these things are optimized from a design standpoint, and from a user standpoint also understand that people can experience the metaverse longer on a desktop and on a mobile or iPad. Once you put the VR on, I can be on my VR headset for hours because I'm used to it. However, I have to say the first few times I got nauseous, and then you have to be mindful of that. People can put it on and they could, like, throw up. They will blame you and go, oh, crap, this is not a good experience for me. I hate this, right? So you have to be mindful of how long your presentation is going to be. And maybe I have seen companies doing events where they kept it mostly on Zoom, and then at the end they go, oh, by the way, we have a metaverse experience, for happy hour. So they kept it to like 15, 20 minutes, right? And then people go in, pick their avatar outfits, have fun with music playing and stuff. But again, it's part of your brand curation of the experience. What do you want at the end of the day?
Wow, what a fascinating world. But if you think about it, we had this discussion 2 weeks ago. If you create an office now that all of your employees are working remotely,
Mm-hmm.
you can
Mm-hmm.
just build an office on
Yes. Yeah.
Metaverse, and everyone
Yeah.
will work and have a conference, and your setting is way beautiful than doing in a Zoom. So it's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
interactive in a way. I've
Yeah.
seen some of your work. It's very clean, very polished, very high end. So I love going into your spaces. So definitely, instead of you renting or buying a big office, you just build it on
Yeah, and
Metaverse.
imagine the cost of just sending my prospects, a $300 pair of Oculus is way less than actually renting an office, and I can always update my metaverse. I'm always updating it, and you can have multi levels, and some of these engines can have ability, like a game engine built in, where you can actually ride the escalator, an elevator. You can do whatever you want. You can float up, in a pod, and be transported to different portals. So I can have multiple offices. I can have one that's for meditation. I can have one that's for, streaming to a live audience. And oh my God, the technology is just, it's limitless. The potential is limitless. That's what's so exciting for designers like myself. It's, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we are being consistent opening this room every Friday here on
Mhm.
Clubhouse and doing it live. I heard a story of a previous store owner where I think her store, she has this healing center that got
Mhm.
disrupted from the riot. So she
Mhm.
actually rebuilt it on Metaverse. What a cool experience. So because she
Yes.
loved her store so much, but there's no way for her to put it together. So things like that, I think it makes sense. And what the journey and stories, when you hear like that, it really makes total sense.
Yeah, like if you go to, like, even like I was like I said, I was venturing into Nike's Roblox, Nike Land on Roblox this morning, and I was looking at how they design their spaces. I mean, it is truly it's truly like walking to a real space. And how do you want to experience? Do you have like 5 seconds to wow someone, right? So it's got to be this very impactful, like, statement piece. Unless you just want it to be a boring ass, conference room, and that's fine too. Some people are very conservative and they just, well, we just want a boardroom. And I'm like, okay, I'll design you a boardroom. But if you want it to be memorable and people remember your brand from the get, that's the opportunity to do it, right? And you have to look at user interface design in a very different way now. You have to look at it in a holistic spatial way, where it's audio sensory, it's motion design, and then you're looking at how you're controlling the oculus. What are they picking up, putting down? What objects are you letting them play with when they're in your space? And then designing a space in metaverse is very different from designing real spaces, right? I mean, there's no ADA rules or regulations, but designing in a metaverse, you have to understand. You have to allow for the person to move around and meander around the space. So we have like a rule of thumb, like like a radius or a diameter per user to go in, and you have enough space for them to interact. And then making sure that users are comfortable enough to interact with each other. And some of these platforms enable avatar and also a video. Like they will allow you to stream like a real life, like this, where they can actually see your face. So it's an avatar and video experience, so that that person is legit and you're talking, to the VP of sales or something like that, and it's not a fake EA that's doing it. but yeah, so those are the things that we're looking at, and then we're training executives now how to actually move around the space, but also present in a 3D world. So typically, you see charts and graphs in like a PowerPoint, right? Now it's three-dimensional charts and graphs that you can manipulate, and are those things animated, and that makes it a whole other level. Yeah, so much to think about.
Dan, do you have a question for Mel? So much great things. I mean, Mel, can you share us what is Web 3.0? I've heard it.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, you don't know how to do that. Okay,
I don't know how to explain all the technical stuff. I know, I laugh at myself. I work in tech, and I'm like, every day I'm like, oh my god, the WWW3, the meta. I'm like, I just know how to create content.
I have a question. Sorry, I have a few questions, Kate. And Mel, you have a great personality, by the way. Because I think you think people in this space might be kind of boring, right? I think in the past, right, you think of like a software engineer. They're kind of stale and boring. So it's pretty exciting to see all the people that have it. I think it's such a big variety of people in this space. Then when I was growing up, I wanted to be a computer programmer, and when I went to college for computer programming, I saw the people that were in my class, and I realized I didn't want to be that person who like hid inside their basement eating pizza every day. But I think you have such a wide, and it was like 99% men, right? You have such a wide group of, a lot of women in tech. Like there's a big space around the world of people coming in, which is incredible. But my question is this, though. I think around what you were saying, when do you think we're gonna get to the place where we're not looking at either a fake avatar or just an image of a video, where it's actually, almost like you're looking at the person?
I think it's going to be real soon, but I also think that it's very dependent on the platform that you're on. So when we're evaluating all these different platforms, Kate, I know you had asked me earlier, like, which platform to go with. Some of our clients will go, oh, this is too cartoony, it's too game-like, we don't like that. And then some platforms have a little bit more realistic look to it. All of their the 3D objects, all of the spatial design, like we can bake in the lighting, the texture, all of that to make it really, really polished. And then some, it's like, it looks like Roblox. Roblox is limited to the Roblox look. It's very game-like, very childlike, right? But some, you can get a little high fidelity on that, and that's okay. So it depends on the platform, Dan. It's not, but I spoke to another company last week, and they were saying, because we were asking about feeding in volumetric presenter into one of these metaverses and the process to go about capturing the volumetric. And it's the same engine that they used in Hollywood, where they will put all these things on you and they capture your movement, and then they feed you into it's all digital. And we were just trying to figure out and how do you bake that in, what kind of Alembic files can we export and all that. Again, we are at this junction right now where we can go really fast and everything can be integrated depending on the companies that are willing to work with each other, so they can build out special APIs for us to do that. But it's not really something that's available, I believe, to the masses yet. However, on the enterprise level, depending on your budget, you could do all of that stuff. It's like really like in Star Trek. You could beam me up and then the person can appear. We could do it. It's just a matter of finding the right partners that are going to work with us to create that tech, because I can't create the tech. I am more of an experiential designer. I am not like, I get techie in the sense where I know my tech limitations. I know the files I need to create. I know the environments I need, I know all these things, but I am not like expert to the point where I'm able to spew out technical jargons. Oftentimes I'm learning as I go. So it makes it very exciting because I ask the most stupid questions, I swear. I ask the tech guys like, can we do this or not? And then you'll be like, well, yes, you can, but I'm like, I don't like hearing buts. So where do I go to get this done? And it's a matter of finding the right people to work with us. And some are just equally as excited. They're like, sure, give us the platform. We'll figure out with the engineers and we'll create an API. We'll plug it into the tech, and they will work with us to create that. And then once it's created, it's almost like it's done. Like I can take the same workflow and apply to the next client. So that's the innovation strategy piece. It's not really clearly defined, but the use cases are there for us to create based upon, and then we have a goal and we have a budget and then we get it done. I hope that makes sense.
That makes total sense. Mel, when I asked that question, I think that was a month ago when Facebook made the huge change of their company name Meta. Your answer is very clear in your world. Can you explain it to everyone else? Why is the yes?
I have my own theory. My own
Your
theory.
own theory. Yes. Tell them.
So people were asking me, like, you posted the question, I'm like, what the hell is this Facebook changing the name? And I'm like, oh my God, it makes total sense to me. Imagine this boom of all the cryptocurrencies, right? I have friends who are now billionaires, right? Because they invested in Bitcoin years and years, like 10 years ago. They bought the stocks for like, $500, and now they're like, a ton. And what happened is you have all this money in digital currency that they don't necessarily want to cash out yet, right? And so all these brands, like I have brands coming in and asking me, how do we tap into that wealth that is already there? Like, how do we actually tap into these billionaire crypto guys and have a piece of the pie? And then so this whole NFT boom was the same thing. I created my NFTs for my kids because I know of people with a ton of Bitcoin. I'm like, I'm gonna make them buy my son's stuff. Like, I'm gonna earn, and I'm putting it at 1 Ethereum. At that time it was like $4,000, right? I'm all like excited, right? And I'm like, ooh, and one ETH to them is nothing, right? Because they have hundreds of ETHs. And I'm like, I just need to tap into that. And I started slowly noticing that all the brands are doing that. I'm like, they're smart. They're trying to tap into the wealth that's already there, but then creating a digital space for that conversion to happen. Because I'm telling you, none of my friends who own all these coins, they don't want to cash out $2. They want to keep it there. And so you sort of, and then of course Beeple sold like $50 million worth of artwork. You're like, damn. And then you go, where is the artwork now? And then you see it in all these different, metaverses. I'm like, oh, it totally makes sense. And then so when Facebook did all this, it makes sense because first of all, they own Oculus. And I know that I'm trying to get all of my enterprise clients to buy Oculus, number one. And number two, it's the wealth that's already there. And if you don't go where the money is, then you're losing out, essentially. I know I hate being FOMO, but it is where the business is going. And that was my theory when that happened, Kate. I was like, yes, it makes sense. They are trying to get into the space that's already there. They're creating for the ecosystem to happen. I don't know what kind of full ecosystem they're developing yet, but then you start seeing all these other brands, and all these other celebrities and artists started hosting events on Fortnite, on Roblox, and all these partnerships started happening. You're like, yep, that's where it is going. So
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I have to say, right after you, Dan, I have to say I tried to purchase some land in a well-funded metaverse world. And I have to say, man, these people charge a lot
A
for
lot.
gas price. Like, where is
Yes.
this money? I just bought Ethereum. And the crazy thing is, I tried to like acquire the places that's my favorite place in the world.
Yeah.
Someone already tried to sell it for $3.3 million and or
Mm-hmm.
750 Ethereum. It was like those suckers. Like I want to
Yes.
buy it, but then they know where I want to buy it. But again, the gas price. Okay, so we're talking about not the gas price to put in your car, because I remember we're in a holiday and someone said like, "Well, the gas price." No, we're not talking. We're talking
No.
about the gas price acquiring something, buying something using MetaMask, where they charge almost half of the price.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the reason
It,
why. And then it's kind of clunky because it doesn't tell you how much. It's not
you
very
almost have to
transparent.
watch it. You have to watch. You have to go to the back end and watch. Like I was trying to mint my kids' art, and I was watching the gas price, and my kid, I gave my kids a budget $2,000. That's all you guys got. Like, go figure it out. And they were watching the price with me. They're like, no, 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 now is the time to go buy it, ma, go do it now. And as soon as it hit the lowest point, I'm like, okay, I'm minting the art now. You get all freaked because it goes up the next day. You're like, damn, I don't know if your art is worth $1,500 yet. You get all freaked out.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so
yeah.
Mel, when you say minting the art, can you tell it to us in a layman's term? What does that
Oh
mean?
God, I will probably be the lousiest person to explain that. All I know from my process is I have to go through. First of all, I have to search which platform I want to be selling my art. It's like almost like an open marketplace, and it's like OpenSea and Rarible and all that places to buy NFTs now. And I'm sure that's like a slew more. Um, but we knew that we were small, and we knew that this was our first time testing things out, so we didn't want to put it in an open sea. It's like almost like an eBay for NFTs, and I didn't want to do that. And then so my kids and I found a place called Portion, and it is a platform where they have really amazing artists, like Marvel artists, and they love the Avengers, so they're like, we want to be next to these artists to sell art. And I'm like, okay. So we applied and we got accepted, and then so we went through the process of understanding, like, how do I actually get my piece uploaded, to the blockchain, and have people, do the whole gas fee thing, and then get the art minted. And I noticed that every time I made a mistake, it cost me money. Like every time I make a simple change to even the description of my art, I have to mint it again. And I'm like, oh, I have to be very careful in this process now, because every time I say, oh, the size is wrong and I'm describing it, oh no, I have to take it down and then I have to mint it again. And I'm like, okay, I got to get my writer to prove everything before I do this. And it's a learning process. I knew getting into this that I would have to learn how to do this. But again, my experience in the NFT world is very limited. I'm sure the audience have a lot more experience than me when it comes to when is the right time to mint, when it's not, what platform to use, and all that. Because I did it just for the experience, just to understand, and then also finding a platform where I can actually sell my NFTs and can actually integrate with my Meta wallet. So yes, I did all of that, but I'm sure the audience have a lot more experience share for us to learn from. Yeah.
Okay, that's one big learning. So before you upload, it's kind of like downloading your items you're selling on Amazon. Make sure you have all the data and correct sizing, or else it's gonna cost you money. Okay, that I
Yeah,
understand.
because
Okay,
it's
so
limited, right? Because you're telling people that, hey, I only have one piece of this, so every time you make a mistake, they want to make sure there's only the one piece that you have, so you have to take it down, and then it's like this one precious art. Of course, it can be a series. I think we did it like a series of 3 each, and that way we're not selling it at like 5 ETH, and we're selling it like 1 ETH or something. But it all depending on how you value your art. And then we have to talk to our attorney about this. We're like, okay, if we sell this, we put this, we sell it, do they own the art? Because we're giving them the digital file, right? And even my attorney is like, oh my God, the NFT world and the intellectual property, it's moving at such high speed. You need to define what they're gonna own. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into to get my attorney involved in this conversation, just minting 3 to 6 pieces of art from my kids. Crazy.
Wow. Dan, what's your understanding on NFT? I think every time you sell it to someone else, there's the 10% whoever actually sold it in the beginning. Daniel?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
I wouldn't even talk. I wouldn't even add my own sense. I think that audience, there's some people in here that know a lot about NFTs.
Yeah.
But I have a
Yes.
question though, related going back. Sorry, Kate, do you mind if I ask that real quick? And then
Yes, go
maybe
ahead. And
audience
can
can
you do
share.
a little bit research that Mel is an expert in experience designer angle? So I know we're talking about our experience share. There's no way we're an expert, but I don't think at this point no one's an expert. Everyone, we're all learning as we go.
No, I
Dan,
know.
go ahead.
Everyone's learning. Yes.
Yeah, no. So we're here with Mel Lim. This is our Friday Metaverse Masterclass. If you hear some background noise and it's too loud, let me know. But you can join the Discord group up top, and we have a lot of people in there talking about it. We also have a whole bunch of different interviews that we do every week on all different topics. So my question is this, Mel. I want to get your thoughts, your experience share here. It seems like you mentioned. I mean, anyone can make an NFT per se. The thing is, most people don't know how to market the product. It's like you could draw a picture, and I could say it's worth $1 million, but it's not really worth $1 million unless someone is willing to pay me $1 million, unless people can even find it. So do you think then there's an opportunity, like you said, there's a lot of money in crypto? I was just reading that some of the youngest billionaires, like self-made billionaires, they're all in crypto. And do you think there's a big opportunity then to actually just selling products and services, not NFT, just in general? Maybe I know we're so hyper focused on NFT, but if
Yes.
they want to spend
Yes.
money,
So our end, my business is focused on the service side, right? So I knew that getting into this, my experimenting with the NFTs was just a glimpse so that I could show the potential to my client that these are the different ways that you could potentially produce digital products and all of that. But in sense of tapping into the wealth, now that part gets me excited because I'm like thinking, okay, how do I tap into the wealth? So multiple ways, right? Even when I'm looking at Roblox, right? I'm currently engaging a Roblox game developer to build out, some stuff for us. But even researching the whole space of just game designers, game Roblox developers, and stuff, these people are making so much money. I mean, they're selling little items and little clothes. And my son alone, they're creating their little outfits on Roblox, right? And they're selling them. And I'm going 7-year-old selling like this. It used to be lemonade stands, and now they're selling gears on Roblox. And it's so exciting to watch because they know where the wealth is going. They're like, because they ask me to spend all this crazy amount of Robux for them every time they do something. And I'm like, clean dishes, you get 20 Robux. You get 20, 2,000 Robux, whatever it is. So the currency is there. And I see an opportunity for a marketplace for them to grow. So I don't ever stop them from wanting to create caps, hats, figures, whatever they want to sell. Fine. But on the adult side of things, yes, absolutely a ton of wealth as a service provider. It used to be where I was talking to another partner where companies now, the large companies, I'm talking about like the big, like Accenture, PwC, those are like Accenture bought like 60,000 pairs of Oculus for training. On our end, it's like, who's creating the content? Who's creating the training programs? There's not a lot of us, in the space right now that has the technical abilities to actually go in and create all these things. So in my mind, it's like, okay, there's money for us. There's like opportunity for us. And even Kate, you were asking me, how much does a metaverse cost? It depends, right? If you're dealing with small business or you're dealing with enterprise solution, because we're dealing mostly with enterprise, and it's huge amount of effort involved in creating a space that accommodate a ton of people. And then there's the privacy aspect to things, and then that's the content that will actually live in this metaverse itself. So again, as a service provider, we're constantly looking at ways to kind of upsell our services. However, it's also looking at the talent piece. While I may be able to go in and convince clients to do these things, I need support. I need help. I need people that actually can go into the Oculus and set up spaces for me and know how to navigate and put things in place. And it's not like, getting an interior designer and go like set up a physical space. That I'm getting someone with technical ability can be in the Oculus for more than 15 minutes without throwing up, number one. And number two, has the ability to move objects, to place them, to scale them, and to put audio. Those are all technical, talents that I need. I even posted on on a EO forum the other day, like, who knows people that can design games in Roblox? And then one person laughed, and I'm like, my son. I'm like, no, I need like real developers. But
Well, it
it's
seems like there's really a shortage of that talent. So
yes,
do they need to be in a coding school, or what kind of
it's a
courses?
combination, right? Like for me, I'm working mostly on the content side, so I need like 3D artists, 3D developers that are really savvy in either Cinema 4D or 3D Studio Max, and then most of these folks are either from the architecture background or in the gaming background. So I'm constantly recruiting talents. Like, are you from a game side? Okay, what engine are you able to build it on? Oh, Unity. I'm like, perfect. Then come and I need all this because it's integrated with Unity. And then someone like, oh, Roblox. Okay, then I need Roblox developers. And then, but having the eye to understand like the design side and then integrating the brand essence into the product design. It's on a whole new level now. I'm not even looking for like a 2D UI designers. I'm looking for 3D UI designers. Like I need people with that dimensional background, and that's tough. And maybe I'm looking at the wrong places. I need to be on Discord more, but I'm so damn busy.
Maybe you need to be like, maybe you need to hire those like 16-year-olds. I guess me
Yes.
thinking like you're saying, if people that grow up with it, because you have a lot of people that didn't grow up with it, so they may not fully understand it. But you have, like he was joking around, hire his 12-year-old or 14, but
Yeah.
maybe it's like instead of a 16 or 18-year-old going and getting a remedial job, they could actually learn these and, like you're saying, make a ton of money. Plus, you have people all around the world in India, the Philippines, you have Eastern Europe. They're incredible programmers now. I mean, they can make a ton of money no matter where they are in the world. This is the great thing, is this opens up the opportunity and the playing field for it. Doesn't matter if you're in a developing country or if you're in a first world country, whatever that is, you have similar opportunities.
Yeah, like my kids are learning all of the basics Adobe software, right? They're learning Illustrator, After Effects. My 7-year-old asked me, I want to learn animation. So I signed him up for After Effects. I'm like, okay, sit down and learn it, like do it with me. And then my 10-year-old, he's on Blender, which is another 3D software. He's learning how to 3D print. And I don't stop him because I know this is the next. If I get them equipped with all this knowledge now, they will have no problem in creating their own businesses or getting a job 10 years from now. I'm training them because I know this is where it's heading. And my struggle is actually getting people my age group in the 40s and 50s to understand the impact of this tech and to welcome it, and to know that you may not have to fully immerse in it, but be aware that this is where it's heading. And then how do we prepare an organization at scale to adopt and adapt to this tech?
I can't
Wow,
help but laugh, but I
Dan.
think like 20 years ago, they're like, games are going to be the destruction of America. Then you become your parents and you're like, the crypto is going to be the destruction. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Like,
Well, this is some really good tip. It seems like I'm gonna sway my kids if they can get involved into 3D cinema, 4D, the architect side, and use some Unity or combo codings. Again, those are some of maybe any one of your family that wanted to
Yeah,
make sure
like
they
I'm
can earn a good living. This is
absolutely,
the direction that
yes.
you need to.
So my sons now, they're helping me design a game. And I needed the 7 and 10-year-old. They're competing. They're like, our games are going to be better. So they're competing so that I can pick one of them to show my client, right?
Mhm.
And they did. Because I can't play Roblox. I go in and I keep on hitting the wall. I don't know what the hell I'm going. And then they're like showing me, and I bought them the Xbox controller so that they can like move around easily, and then I put it on their heads, even though Oculus say not meant for kids under 13, but my 10-year-old loved the Oculus.
Yeah.
So and he's teaching me how to do it. But just watching them is enabling me to do innovation work. Isn't that strange? Like I'm learning from my 10-year-old to actually apply all this knowledge to my corporate clients. It's fascinating to me because it's like they're the innovators. I'm just like the messenger, watching them navigate this digital space so comfortably, right? Like I logged into one of those VR chats environments. I hopped into a metaverse. There was like dinosaurs chasing me. I freaked out. I logged off, and I'm like, I'm not going back in because I don't know who's talking to me. But to them, oh, mama, that's easy. They go into the space and they show me what they bought. I'm like, why you keep on buying like outfits like that? Like, I don't understand why you're wasting your money buying, but they want it. And I'm like, I don't get it. But I know what brands are looking for, and that's how they're connecting. And that's what I'm learning. It's from the business side. Why are brands? Why did like In the Heights launch a block party on Roblox? And my 7-year-old came out to me and said, "What's In the Heights? Let's watch it." I'm like, I'm not sure if that is a movie for you to watch. And then it's a musical, but he watched it and he tells me, yeah, there's just a bunch of like teenagers wanting boyfriends and girlfriends. I'm not watching anymore. I'm like, okay. But again, brands are trying to reach the younger audience. I don't know in a good way or a bad way at the end of the day, but it's fascinating to me that my 7-year-old now knows what In the Heights is about.
Oh
And he
wow.
attended a block party.
Yeah, Mel, I wanted to, I think this is a common question to a lot of entrepreneurs. If they want to build an office in the metaverse, 10 by 10, for example, if a size of a 10 by 10, how many people can fit in that if you want to do an experience or conference or a nice meeting? What are the expectations like? How many people can be in that office? And what are kind of a ballpark? I know there's a wide range from 20 grand to
Yeah,
up to 200 grand or as much
I
as how
know.
detailed do you want your design, right? So I think
Yeah.
people can have a little bit of idea of how much would it
10 by
cost
10
them.
is
Go
10
ahead.
by 10 is small. 10 by 10, I will have to tell you, it's a very small space. Typically, we go up to 5 times the size. But it's also because we're accommodating like maybe 30 people or so in a space. And again, you have to have like a 3 to 4 meter radius around your avatar just to make sure there's no like blockage or like, glitches. And this is all up to the designer how he wants to roll it out and which platform. Because if you're designing on Decentraland and all these other public metaverses, I think they are selling you the 10 by 10 little spaces, right, Kate? But when we're designing for the enterprise, it's mostly on like a platform that's enabling for more of an event or an engagement to happen at scale. So the spaces will have to be much bigger. And then we are allowing for content, multiple types of content to be streamed into the space. So whether it's a keynote, whether or not it's a video, and then the more content you have in the space, it will slow down the interaction. So you have to choose the right platform for that to happen, and then train the people, to meander around the space. So back to your question, it can range from like as cheap as like you said, $2,500, or you can even buy like one of those templates right now that you can go to like Sketchfab. I think it's called Sketchfab. To buy a space. You can buy a space now for like $20, $30. You load it up to one of your platforms, and it's not really, to your. It's a template. It's not going to be, to your liking or to your brand criteria, but at least you can do that and then see if that's the right thing for you to do, and then experiment with it. It's just less than $50. I think some of these templates that you can go and do. But for the work we do, it's not $50 for sure. It's way up there. But it's because we are building in all the other pieces for enterprise solution.
Yeah, so last week we get a chance to do a tour, and I have to say, I comment to who's part of the company, like, I'm not going to your conference. It looks like 1980s Hotel Las Vegas. That smells moldy. So again, if you want to present your office in Metaverse, make sure it looks good to what's the current look. Then like, why would I go there if my house looks better than the Metaverse? It's
Yeah,
supposed to be an
yeah.
experience where much
Yes.
better in your real world, but you're presenting it to us the blue, ugly looking conference that I don't want to join. Like maybe someone needs to abduct me to force there, then I will be in there. But I think it's kind of same like any other things when you launch something in your business. You want to be in the forefront to make sure that really aligns of what is the current look.
Yes, yes. And if your business is about innovation like ours, we're constantly updating the space. Like again, once it's what the good thing about digital is this, right? One day you can have a sauna here, the next day you can have a spa here, the next day you can have like, you can be on a mountain, you can change out the scenes. It's really so flexible. But with that flexibility, I always say with a caveat is that's constraint to the amount of polygons that you can add to the space. Most of these platforms have limitations to the amount of polygon because they have to work with their game engine, whatever engine that's it's backing the platform. So, and again, what kind of content that's going to be swapping out? Because you don't want to be watching something and then it freezes in the Oculus or in your desktop. You're like, oh, you have no support, right? You can click refresh, but then you have to go through the whole process again. So, what is going to be the ultimate brand experience design for you?
Wow.
I know we cover a lot. That's the thing in our studios. We cover a lot of those questions because it will pop up because people think it's very easy. Oh, it's just like designing another website. It's not. It's not like designing another website. I have to look into all these other things now when I'm hosting or presenting or launching a product within the metaverse. There's just so many pieces components at play that I have to be cognizant about. And before, UI and UX design is very limited to a 2D experience. And now I have to look at, if they walk into that space, is that music too loud? I have to test out an all, radius of that space to make sure that if the person is giving a keynote there and you have a bar on the other side, can that be a private space? Because I don't want the music playing and then the CEO is talking. And so those are the things that I'm looking at when I'm putting on I have to walk into this and then making sure that when I bring someone into the space, can I record this? Can I record this presentation? Can someone watch it afterwards? Do I need to rehearse my presentation? Do I need to train these executives to present? So it's so many pieces of things that I'm looking at right now. My job has become very exciting.
There you go. Dan, can you do a little bit of reset? So Mel here. Okay, I'm so sorry. I think Dan it's just a super noise background.
Can you hear me? All right. Yeah, so thank you, Mel Lim. Appreciate that. This is incredible. It's Metaverse Fridays. So every Friday we are talking here about Metaverse. Also to note, we're going to be having our own TV segment on Fox, ABC, and NBC in different markets. We start filming December 16th and 17th for a show called Meta Talks, and that's Talks with a Z. So there's no website yet, but check in the next few days, metatalks.com with a Z. But we're going to have a show, a 5-minute segment where we're going to interview experts in all things Metaverse like Mel Lim here. It's going to be Metaverse, NFTs, crypto, blockchain. We have some incredible guests lined up already. So we can't wait for that. It's going to be all of 2022, airing in January in all different major markets in the US. So excited for that. But this is the Metaverse Fridays where we talk every Friday here on Clubhouse. I was actually streaming to other different platforms. I was doing a test, but we're also streaming live too across all social. But you can check it out. Join the Discord up top so you know when we're going to be doing it. But the cool thing in the Discord now, we have different channels. We got the Meta channel, the NFT channel, so you can actually talk with each other about the topics that are going on live. So thank you, Mel, for being here as always.
Thank you. I'm eager to learn from the audience because I always find that I learn the most when I'm engaging with people who are really trying to dive in. Yes, I want to learn.
Let's do this. Yeah.
Oh, so before we go, Dan,
Dan,
before we go, because we're going to be ending our live because they can't hear any of the questions. So, Mel, where can they find you? What's their site? If any enterprise wanting to build their a big conference.
Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn because I have a ton of stuff that I post on Metaverse, and I'm actually going to be hosting a keynote on Metaverse on Wednesday. It's on my LinkedIn, and I'm actually coaching a bunch of executives to how to create an XR program and roll it out on a global scale for the enterprise. So again, my background is on the enterprise side, so I'm sorry if I'm not able to answer the more on the consumer side of things, but it's more for me, it's more like scaling this, making sure that there are use cases that are appropriate for this type of application and how to leverage that technology. And the technology piece is the most exciting because there are so many companies out there doing very exciting stuff. As for us, it's going in and identifying who is doing what and able to integrate and make them partner with each other. And that's the piece of innovation that I'm very excited about, right? Because people are not doing that yet. And then if they're coming out and they have this tech, our goal is to combine all this tech and ensuring that we are able to deliver the experience for our enterprise clients. So yeah, so find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, so
and my
LinkedIn is
website.
LinkedIn/Mel Lim, right?
Yes.
MELLIM. Okay.
Yes, and then find me on my website, Maspera Group with a GROUPE.com, and you can connect me with on there. I'm not a good social media person. I'm too bloody busy, but LinkedIn I will respond. Yes.
Maybe
There
you need to
you
do LinkedIn. You can change your name to Metaverse. Maybe it should be LinkedIn/Meta. Somebody might take that, but check out Mel Lim
Maybe.
on LinkedIn, MELLIM. You can look her up, LinkedIn/in/Mel Lim, or look up her name, Mel Lim. And then you said Mispera Group, and group with an E.com.
Yes, that's my
Yes,
consulting.
and definitely, I asked Mel if you're an expert when it comes to crypto, NFT, and metaverse land investing. DMS would love to have you in this show because we all learning together. There you go.
Yeah, and I can bring in lots of other geeky nerds like myself who are really into the XR stuff, and they teach me things every day, all these technical terms, and I'm like, which file goes with what again? Like, I'm trying to understand. But yes, we'll be bringing. I should bring in a few more guests that's way savvier than me on this subject.
You're amazing. Well, thank you, Mel. So we are ending our live. Thank you, everyone, and we are heading to